The topic I picked for my presentation is the plague or the Black Death. Next slide. So what was it? It was a plague, obviously, that lived in rats, and it was brought over on trade ships. And what would happen is that fleas would bite the rats, and then fleas would move from rat to rat. Well, if there wasn't a rat present, they would start biting humans. And that's when people got sick. And this happened between 1347 and 1353, so almost 10 years of this plague. And it would take 6 days for a person to show signs of sickness. And this happened mainly in Europe, so was stayed contained in Europe. Next slide. So the significance of this plague is that it killed thousands. Half of Europe's population died to this plague. Half. That's an absurd number. And historians also say that this plague marked the end of the Middle Ages. And this also ranked as one of the top 3 worst catastrophes. And I tried doing some research into what other catastrophes are ranked, and it varies from historian to historian because it is kind of subjective and what is counted as a catastrophe and what other variables you throw in there. But a few I found were a few wars, a couple earthquakes, and the Spanish flu. But this is still up there, especially with how long ago this was. This is still prevalent. It is still researched, and there's still theories. One main theory on why it ended was that people quarantined, and that by staying away from individuals, it contained the virus and eventually drove it out. And what happened after in Europe is that people were afraid to stay in, go into crowds in marketplaces. And it also took a turn on the economy in that crops were at an all-time low and that land was cheap because people were dying and losing their land left and right. So here's a picture depicting the plague. Now, I couldn't find a picture on the database because I don't think UTSA database does images, so I pulled one from Google. I mean, it's not exactly, always reliable, but, with what I had. And it depicts how fast this plague was, and it was noted that it moved almost a mile a day. Mile a day. And it depicts all of these death, fires, and that it was a very scary and dark time in European history. So now for the big question, why am I interested? Well, I'm interested because of just the vast majority of people that were killed. It was half of Europe's population. That is just amazing. Well, amazing is the wrong word, but it's just fascinating. And I'm also interested because of what's happening now. We are experiencing a virus, and that people are dying, and that it's hard to get a handle on this virus that is plaguing us, and that it's very much significant now that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And also, I wasn't taught this in school. In high school, it wasn't gone over, and we went over it a little bit, but that's the only time I was taught it. I was never, and I was told what it was in high school, but it wasn't like we had like a whole day over it. But so just very unknown, it's just, it's very shameful that something like this isn't taught because this is a crazy virus and it killed half of Europe. I can't overemphasize that, half. So why is this important today? As I said, COVID, we are experiencing a sickness, and it is, not on the same terms as the plague because we do have better medical technology. We understand how to quarantine. We quarantined early. We're trying to get a handle on it. But history rhymes. We had the Black Plague, we had the Spanish flu, we had SARS, now we have COVID. So it repeats, and that we need to learn from our history in order to better ourselves and better society as a whole. And that is exactly why it's important. And another big reason why I picked the plague is because we are going through, quote unquote, our own plague, and it doesn't seem to have any end in sight. But with the technology we do have, we could see an end to this virus.